So in this video we're going to take a look at building some joints so we can animate our can. I'm going to hold spacebar down, and by holding the right mouse button on the word Maya, I'm going to go up to, or I'm going to go down to the front view. Now what we want to do is add some joints through the center of our can. So off to the side where it says rigging, off to the side here where it says rigging, I want to make sure that I'm on rigging. I'm going to go to skeleton, and I'm going to click this first option, create joints. Now starting from the base, I'm going to hold the shift key down, and then I'm going to click my left mouse button, and then I'm going to create a joint in the center here, and then one more at the top. Then I'm going to hit enter to complete it. Now for some reason, if your window where you cannot see your joints looks like this very last option here is X-ray joints. You can turn that on. The next thing I want to do is, in order to make these joints appear a little bit easier, is I'm going to select each joint, and under radius here, I'm left clicking on the word radius, and I'm just clicking my middle wheel in and moving to the left. I'm going to just decrease the size a little bit. Next thing I'm going to do is hold spacebar down, right click on the word Maya, and go to perspective view, and make sure that that joint is in the center of my can. Now what I want to do is I want to make sure that when I rotate this joint, let's see here, that the top part of the can moves with it. So what we do is we want to select the first joint that was created, which is this root joint down here. So I'm going to hold shift, select that, and I'm going to select my can. Now notice that my can can't be selected, and that's because I have this option here, not compressed. These right here allow you to select things or deselect things that are in the view. So that's all selected. So I have this and this. I'm going to go to skin and then just hit bind skin. Now if I click this middle joint and I hit E, you'll notice that it moves my can. The issue with this though is, as it's rotating, I want that bottom to stay static. So let's do this. I'm going to go up here. There's one other option. There's one other thing I want to do before any of that, and that's I want to add some controllers to make it easier for me to select these guys. Okay? So let's go to create NURBS primitive, and I'm just going to make a circle. And what I want to do here is I want to make sure that this circle is snapped to that root joint. So I can hold V down and just move it around and make sure it snaps. An easy way of doing this is if I go to show and I hide polygons. Actually, let's do it this way. This might be cool. Let's, in our display where it says layers, let's make a new layer and double click it. Under edit layer, let's name this PopCan. So this is now our PopCan layer. You can see it makes it disappear and appear. So I'm gonna hide that V, make it visible. Hit Control D to duplicate that. Then hold V down and move this up. Notice that it's snapped to the center of that joint. I'm gonna hit Control D again, hold V, snap it to the top. Let's unhide our can. The next thing we want to do is, as we move these around, we want all of these guys to follow. So starting from the middle, let's go to Modify, Freeze Transformation. Then let's make sure this is Transform as Frozen, so Modify, Freeze Transformation. So I'm going to select this, hold Shift, select this guy, and hit P to parent. Now wherever I move that bottom, that moves with it. Let's do the same thing here, Freeze Transformation. Select this guy, P to parent. So now they all follow each other. Now what about this? I want this root to follow this controller. Well, there's two things that we do. Under constraint, I'm going to click this line here. We can do a point and an orient constraint. So let's expand the options next to point constraint. You can offset how much you want it to control. I'm going to turn on maintain offset, and what that means is, by having this checked on, movement is constrained to this. So with this NURBS controller selected, I'm going to hold shift, select this guy right here, right? Got this guy and this guy selected, and I'm just going to hit apply. Let's go to orient. Let's make sure offset is on. I'm going to hit apply there too. And what I'm going to do is just do the same for each one of these NURBS circles with its corresponding joint. Point, orient. Make sure not to hit parent. Now this, I guess we can do just the point. We don't necessarily need the orient because this joint doesn't rotate anything. So now when I move this NURBS controller, you can see it moves my whole can. And as I move this one, let's do that. Now the last thing I want to do is just make sure that the bottom of my can stays to the ground when I rotate this. See that? So with I'm going to uncheck the select joints and NURBS controller. So now you'll notice as I select, it only selects my can. See that? I can't select any joints. So with this selected, I'm going to right click. Well, actually, let's do one last thing. Forgot to do this. Name your bottom joint by left clicking on it. Notice that I compressed this again. Name that root. Now I'm going to decompress that again so that we can't select it. Now with our can selected, our last thing to do is right click, go to vertex mode. Select all of those verts that are on the bottom. Go up to Window, General Editor, and go to Component Editor. Now what this is, it's a pretty nifty tool inside of Maya that lets us see any attributes that are attached to any vertice. Remember, we skin these vertices to this joint. So if we go to Smooth Skins here, you'll notice these vertices are rotating because they're not only bound to the root, but they're bound to joint 2 and joint 3. So what we can do is I'm going to double click this. I'm going to left click in here and just scroll down, and under root I'm going to hit 1 and hit enter. What that means is I'm weighting this 100% to that root joint. So let's close that out. Let's see how this looks. So let's decompress this. Select this guy, and now what you'll notice is I rotate this, that can's butt or bottom sticks to that bottom root. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and hit Control S to save all of our hard work, and then the next video we'll go ahead and animate this.